We are back on the Good Tymez Show with my one and only, my favorite author, Elle Devine.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank y'all so much for having me. I appreciate the love.
You're welcome. We appreciate you for coming on the show.
Well, anytime.
Okay, so what began your fascination with writing?
Well, basically, I used to journal when I was younger, but I've always been a very avid reader. And so reading some of my favorite, artists as far as either nonfiction or fiction, that's what started my love of writing, because I wanted to emulate the writing style and, do what they did. So that's how it kind of started.
Okay. Have you met any of your personally favorite authors?
I have. I've had the blessing of meeting Tina McElroy, Alice Walker, and Nathan McCall, but my all-time favorite author is Octavia Butler, and unfortunately she, passed away before I could meet her. However, when she passed away, I was in the middle of writing Volume 2, which is Second Chance, and I actually dedicated the novel to her. And so I feel like I channel a lot of her energy, just in terms of keeping it going and doing what, hasn't been done before and kind of pushing the envelopes when it comes to quote-unquote black literature and what we can and cannot put in the book. So she was definitely a huge inspiration.
Okay. What was the favorite book of yours that you've written?
And when I read The Question Princess, I thought that was hilarious because it's like asking me to choose between my children. But, I love them all. However, I will say that the one that I've had the most joy from after completing was Volume 9, Holidays, because it was my first super edition. I was able to really kind of just play with my imagination and really go with the characters. And, because Jade has the power of sight, and in that book, she kind of loses her mind a little bit. She's sleepwalking. She doesn't know if she's in daytime or nighttime or where she is. And actually that book, I lost hair writing that book. That book kept me up at night. It was such a passionate book for me. And so that was probably my favorite one, Volume 9.
Okay, so where did you get all the amazing storylines from the book?
Well, Jade Jackson is me. I based her loosely off of me, as well as Mama, or who I hope to be with Mama, and her mother, Lynn Marie. It's kind of where I am now. Not quite, but, kind of. And so a lot of the dialogue and those types of things actually come from either me having conversations with my mom or other people, or me in the classroom, because I used to be a full-time teacher. But mostly it comes from just interacting and listening. I do a lot of people watching and eavesdropping. So if you ever see me in a Starbucks, don't talk about anything around me that you don't want in the book. It's free domain. Like, if I hear something, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe she just said that. Or, oh, did you see that?
Now,
I'm horrible like that, yeah. But I'll take it and just make it my own. Yeah.
Where does the concentration come from? Because book writing isn't easy. I mean, to be able to sit down and really put your thoughts on paper and then construct them in the right way, it's not an easy task. Like, what do you do to do that? Like, what
do you
place
have any
do you
writing
go to?
rituals?
Well, my only writing ritual is, it depends on where I am in the writing process. To answer the first question, where I get my concentration from, you know what? I don't think I have very good concentration. I think that it really comes from a place of it has to come out. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I just have to write it down. I have to, even if I'm in mid-conversation, like, forgive me. If we're sitting here having this interview and I need to write a note, I will say, excuse me for a minute, let me jot this down. I never, ever, ever, or I try never to miss the opportunity of inspiration. That's what I call it. Because that thought may never come back. And I've had that happen where I'm going crazy trying to figure out right now what Erykah Badu and Napoleon Hill have in common, because I promise you there was a quote I wanted to put in Volume 16, but because I couldn't write it down at that moment, I can't remember. And so now I'm going to have to go through my Erykah Badu CDs and read Napoleon Hill's book all over again just so I can remember what that one quote was that popped into my head 2 days ago, and I can't get it back right now. So I wouldn't say it was concentration as much as long as you obey your flow, follow it, do what you're supposed to do, you'll get through it. And then the ritual part would just be that I have to write every day. If I don't write every day, I kind of get off my game. And that's just a personal thing for me. I wake up in the morning, I get my kids off to school, or if they're here, I get them what they need, and then I write. You know, and I write all day long. I'm doing something for the writing business all day long. Then I come back home, you know, I pick my children up from school, I cook dinner, I do laundry, I clean the house. My house is a wreck right now, so I'm lying, but normally I would clean my house, you know. I just had a book come out last week, so I'm kind of scattered right now. But and then I go right back into my writing until about, 1 o'clock in the morning. And that's why usually writers are manic, because this is how we live, So I don't know if that answered both the questions, but that would be
absolutely.
That was perfect. Okay, so your latest book, Drama High Street Soldiers, you let the readers do a cover contest to be the face of Jade. What made you come up with that idea?
Actually, that was another friend of mine who's a publicist. Shout out to Yona. Yona came up with the idea to do a cover because I was actually just going to basically pick a girl or pick somebody who I thought emulated Jade and do a different Jade for each cover. That was my idea.
Okay.
And so then she said, well, how about, you do a contest and let them send in the pictures and go from there. And so then I came up with the whole contest and, the rules and regulations and all that, and I managed it. But yeah, that's how we did that.
Now, did you have a set demographic that you were chasing? Because to be honest, like, I'm a male, so I used to see Princess come to the station, and on lunch break and every break she would pull your book out, and I mean she would like be into the book, and I'm saying to myself like, is it that interesting? She's like, yes, and she had every single one of the books.
Literally from 1 to 14.
So, like, did you have a
Princess, we don't have to meet so I can find your books. I'm sorry, go ahead, Jay, but I'm like, Princess is my fan. I gotta give her a shout out. That's love. Thank you.
Yes, she's been reading your books ever since I've known her. So, and I've known Princess for years. So the thing is, like, did you have a set demographic? Like, did you target to say, okay, I want to reach out to high school kids, I want to reach out to teenagers, I want to reach out to young adults, or did you just write a book from your heart and it appeals to everyone?
No, Drama High has always been a YA series, young adult series, hands down, because of the issues that we deal with, who I was trying to speak to in the books, because you remember I started as an educator, right. And I was trying to deter girls from reading erotica books, or books that were just too grown for them, yet and still they were mimicking the behavior in those books. And that was disturbing to me on many levels, many levels. And so I started writing Drama High, yes, out of passion, but more so out of rebellion, or out of an answer to this question. And it may have been a question only I had, but, I needed an answer to it. So that's where Drama High kind of came from.
Okay, because I try and tell everyone who I think would love the book, I'm like, it has so many different areas from it. It's not just about one person. It tells kind of stories from everyone, and everybody could relate to it, whether they think they can or not, being in high school. And what...
Oh, yeah, no.
What was your goal in writing the book? Like, did you want it to be, a girl going through high school, the advice and the hardship that goes through it and how she can handle it? Like, what is your goal for the readers to take from the book?
Well, first of all, the book, we're saying book singular, but for me it was always 44 volumes of a series. For me it was always the last 2 years in high school and the 4 years in college, which is how I have the series mapped out. And so saying that to say that my goal with the book is to show that no matter where you come from, no matter your journey, no matter what environment you've been thrown into, you will always rise above whatever expectations and occasions you're presented with. You will always be able to be yourself and grow into whoever that self is. You're not a product of your environment. If you are a product of your environment, you're able to come out of that. You can predetermine your own destiny. You can make it so that you're not a stereotype. And that's really what I wanted to get out of it. You don't have to be what other people say that you are.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
And I don't care how old you are. I don't care how young you are. I don't care what demographic you may find yourself in. Because my books are in Korea, my books are in Japan, my books are in China. They're everywhere. And so the girls in the Bahamas can relate to it just as much as the boys in Canada.
Right.
You never know.
And in this day and age, your book is definitely needed due to what we see on TV every day. Is any works pushing towards a movie? It sounds like that. You know,
I
this needs
hope
to
it'll
come
be a
to the
movie.
big
I'll help
screen.
direct it.
Well, you holla at me, girl, holla. But no, we're in the works with the TV deal. But here's the thing, I'm gonna be honest, because it's part of my frustration for the day. So I'll just share it with you. I get tired of publishers, producers, writers, directors, and people telling me that because it's a black girl on the cover who's the protagonist, that will never amount to anything, or that it can't go far, or that it'll go nowhere. That's what I heard when I first started the series, which is why I self-published at first. And 15 books later, I'm back to self-publishing. Because they just do not have faith in the fact that if it has a black character on the front, I don't care if it's a lead character or not, if there's a black face anywhere on the book or associated with the project, they think it's going to be doomed to failure.
Wow.
And that's the bottom line. And so it's an intrinsic racism within writing, and I call it actually the resegregation of black authors. Because first of all, what would you call this era of writing? First of all, I'm always an academic. Even though I write the Drama High series and I can get as hood as the rest of them, I'm very much a thinker. And I really think about those things, a lot. And the fact that I won't make her white. I've been approached with that. Like, well, what if you make Jade white? Say what? Come again? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. You know? How do you do that?
Absolutely.
Right.
How do you do that? But, if it were about money, I would have killed off Jade, which is what, someone approached me to do, which is why I don't have a publishing contract right now, because they wanted me to end the series, and I wouldn't end the series.
Well, I'm glad that you didn't, because every time I read a book, I'm hoping at the end it says the next book and the next chapter at the end. You know how you do like the little preview? I always hope. I'm like, oh, is there going to be a new one? Is there going to be a new one?
Well, you would think out of our history that those stigmas would have changed by now, because every time they doubt what an African American can do, it has blew up even higher. Yeah. So every time they doubt or tell an author or a director or athlete or anyone that's been chasing their goals. I mean, Michael Jordan was cut from his high school team, and he turned out to be one of the greatest basketball players. So I still don't understand why that stigma sits, because doesn't make sense to me, because we have broken some of the largest records when it comes to being the underdogs.
Oh, thank you, because I needed to hear that, because there are days where I'm extremely discouraged. But like I said earlier, I cannot not write. And I know that's a double negative, but I did that on purpose. It's not in me to not write.
Right.
It would never happen. And Jade keeps talking to me. So as long as she keeps talking, I'm going to keep writing. As long as my fans keep reading, as what, Princess? As long as y'all keep reading, I'm going to do what?
Keep writing.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
One of my fans, and it's real. No. And as long as there are young people, I don't care what nationality they are, but especially the demographic of which they have already doomed to failure, as long as they want to keep reading, I'm here. And I will keep pushing for the TV series. I'll keep pushing for the movie. If we have to get it out ourselves, whatever needs to be done. But one thing about me is that I like to do things to the highest caliber. And so as a perfectionist, it's kind of my Achilles heel. I take it very personally when there's a mistake in the book, which no matter who you are, I know why the Cage Bird sings, and there were several mistakes in Maya Angelou's writing. But that's just part of being human. So I think once that fear lifts from me, and I'm just being very honest, then I'll be able to move forward with that. But a lot of what I encounter with Hollywood is exactly that. There's just a lot of intrinsic racism, and that's okay, because like you said, that's just the hurdle that I have to jump. That's all it is.
And I think in the end, it makes the integrity and the poise of you so much greater, because overall, whenever someone tells you no or don't want to go along with anything, society, corporate America, they're afraid of something they don't understand. So what happens is that because they may not know how to market it, or they don't feel comfortable in giving you the 100% go ahead, they say no to it, which they've done that in hip hop, and look how large hip hop and urban music has grew. They've done that with Russell Simmons is the best, I think, example of that. I mean, they told him that hip hop would end in the 80s, and it's 2012, and it's supplying multi by millions. So I think with you, it's great because your fans speak, and that's what in the end means everything. The fact that they could say no, but your fans keep saying yes.
Thank you, because that's exactly what I told them. Like, y'all may not want it, but you're not my readers.
Absolutely.
You're not the reason that I write the book.
Absolutely.
And I'm very, if nothing else, I've always been clear about who my audience is and what they want. You can't compare Drama High, and this is, my ego speaking, but I really firmly believe you can't compare Drama High to any of the other teen books out there, because they're just not it. And I don't know what makes it different. I don't know what makes it single out. I don't know what makes it stand out. But I know that as an avid reader, because I do read other, authors' work, that there's just something about, I don't know if it's the purpose or the intention or what it is, but after a while, the books take on a life of their own. And I'm humbled by that. When girls are saying, I am Jade, or I am Nikki, or they really embody it. Boys walking around like, no, I'm Nigel. No, I'm KJ, fool. No, son, I'm Rock. It's like, oh my God, the characters are real.
Right? Well,
I speak in high school, they're fighting over it, and they're like, well, I'm Misty, you're Misty. Oh my God, we hate you, but she's fly, and I mean, it's just amazing to watch, it's amazing to witness.
Well, I definitely enjoyed the books, and I heard you say earlier you had 44 series, so does that mean you're going to be writing more Drama High series books?
Until the 44th volume is written, published, and done.
Wow.
I am Drama High all day, every day. I have other things that I write as well. I'm an adult novelist. I have nonfiction books that I'm working on right now, but Drama High is just my passion. It's my bread and butter. It's my everything. And even I'm a ride this wagon till the wheels fall off. Let's put it like that.
Now, is it more difficult self-publishing?
Oh God, yes. I don't have the luxury of a publisher, and what that means is that I don't have a big publisher behind me. I don't have a marketing department. I don't have a publicity department. I don't have a legal department. I don't have a copy edit department. I do all of that myself now. Whereas I used to be able to put out 3 books a year, now I can only put out 1, and that's pushing it. Because once I finish writing the book, I have to edit the book 5 times because it goes through several edits. Then I have to print the books, and it's something that I'm not well versed in. I don't know how to do it. So even now, with the book coming out last week, it's not in Barnes & Noble yet. Why? Because that's a marketing department's job. So who I call? Oh, me.
Right. Wow.
So that's where I was today. I literally walked in the door and called you because I was at 2 different Barnes & Nobles trying to figure this thing out. How do I, because it's a huge series, but this one isn't coming from the same publisher anymore, I have to go through small press department. I have to do something totally different now. And it's just on another level. I can't even explain it. I don't know how we're going to get it into the Targets and the Walmarts and the Books A Million like it used to be. But it's going to happen. It's just going to take some time. I pray that my fans bear with me. But I'm already writing volume 16. And so my goal is to have volume 16 online, by the end of October, beginning of November. And then hopefully have it printed by December. So
Okay.
I'm always writing.
That's beautiful. That's
well,
beautiful.
I'm glad to hear that.
and stay with the fight. I mean, where there's a will, there's a way. But the entrepreneur route and the independent route to me is the best route. It's the harder route, but in the end, it builds more equity to your company, more worth, and then you set the precedence for the next young author that wants to come behind you. Because once she see you doing it, then that next author knows that they can do it.
Oh, absolutely. And I want more stories. And I said that not too long ago when I was in front of some high schoolers, and they were like, oh, we wish we could write like you, but we can't. No, you can't. You could write like you, though. I need to hear your story. I need to hear her story. I need to hear his story. So everybody's got a talent. Everybody came here for a purpose. You came with a God talent. That's what I call it. Let me see you rock that, whatever it is.
Now, with you teaching, do you get some of your ideas from most of your students?
I don't teach anymore, but yes, I still go into the class. When I say I'm in the class, speak. I'm a public speaker now. But yes, absolutely. As an educator, you hear all kinds of stuff all the time. So, Volume 1, the fight, actually came out of a fight that happened in my classroom when I was teaching 7th grade.
Wow. Didn't know that.
And I went home and I was so upset. It was two of my best students fighting over this boy, and I just couldn't believe it. I was just like, what? Y'all still doing this stuff? You know, we did this back in the day, and that's how Volume 1 started.
Wow, that's good to know.
You have an amazing story, and like I said, I know of you because of the princess. You know, I think everyone that's around the princess knows about you
book.
and know about your books because of the princess.
I'm gonna give you a shout out in Volume 16. Then you got it, girl. I got it.
Yeah, she's a true. I gotta honestly admit that, you know, she is a true fan. She was very excited to have you coming on the show. You know, she was running around telling everybody, you know, oh my God, I got her on the show. And
I've been passing out those books. I'm like, hey, you got this going on? Read this book, chapter 5.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
You're welcome.
That.
Absolutely. So it was definitely a pleasure. I'm quite sure Princess is going to stay in contact with you every step of the way. But you know. So, what advice would you give a young writer? Like, say for instance, myself. For years, I've been trying to write a entertainment book because I started off as a DJ back in 1992, and what young people think of the entertainment business is total opposite. So, but I catch writer's block. Like every time I sit down to think I'm going to write it, it just doesn't happen. So, what advice would you give a young writer?
You know, like I said earlier, just when the inspiration hits, write it down. Never, ever, ever take for granted that inspiration. Because if you don't get it out, you know, like I said, you will lose it. And so I'm just very adamant about always writing. If you have to write it on a napkin, I don't care. If you have to pull over on the side of the road and jot it down on your iPhone notes, whatever, get the thought out. And keep it all together, you know. I used to be a very big Franklin Covey planner girl back in the day, and I would always have my notes. It could be scattered through my planner, but they were always in that planner. And so just keep your notes in the same place, and eventually you will have a book. Eventually it will come together. You know, it doesn't start out looking like that, but all of our books start off as just random notes. You know, and so you never know when it's going to hit you, but obey it when it does.
Okay. Well, where could the other...
I'm sorry, was that not what you wanted? Did you want the other part of it?
No, I mean...
Which is that you really need to go to Barnes & Noble. Okay, here's my other part of it, okay?
Okay.
If you're going into professional writing, you need to sit down and study it, like you would a degree. So, in Barnes & Noble, they have a section for writers, okay? So, if you want to be a novelist, or you're trying to write a self-help book, first identify your genre. Once you identify your genre, read every single book that interests you within that genre. So when I wanted to start Drama High, it was because I was such a huge fan of Sweet Valley High and Sweet Valley Twins, right?
Okay.
So there were no black series, and there still aren't any black series quite like Drama High. However, there were other series that I could emulate. And so I also wanted to be very much like Danielle Steele and Jackie Collins and Octavia Butler, just these serial authors who just kept writing. It was like every year you look up, there's a new book. And I was like, oh my God, how do they do that? And so I'm studying their careers, studying how they operate. And then on the business side of it, you want to study Writer's Market, which is a huge, thick writer's Bible that comes out every year. Study that book. That book has everything in it you need to set up your book proposal, to learn how to market your book, to learn how to differentiate between a novel manuscript, a nonfiction manuscript, a self-help manuscript, a children's book, you know, because all of those are different styles of writing. People come up to me all the time and say, oh, I have a children's book I did. That's great. I'm not a children's author, but congratulations. Oh, but you write young adult. Yes, young adult. I do not write children's literature. I have no idea how to do it.
Okay.
But people think because you're a writer, you can write anything. No, I can't do that. You know?
Okay.
So, you know, stay in your lane, study your genre, study your field, and keep writing.
Okay. I mean, that's very helpful. I mean, cause like I said, because I didn't even know that, you know, Barnes & Noble had those type of sections in the different books. So, like, I'm truly taking notes.
Yeah, it's deep. And I tell people all the time, like, you know, and here we are again, but with my other writer friends, and I call them, we are called writers. We're not called authors. You know, Chelsea Handler, excuse me, she hates to be called Chelsea Lately, but Chelsea Handler is an author. She's not a writer. She's an entertainer who authored a book. Okay? Toya, she's not a writer. She's an author. Okay, these people can make $1 million and get on the New York Times bestseller like that because they're celebrities. Writers are not necessarily celebrities. They may never be celebrities. But the one thing that we do is we study our craft. And we do it every day unapologetically. Everything we do has to be, around our writing schedule. And it's so sadistic, but it's the truth. It just is.
I never looked at it that way.
Me neither. I thought they were the same thing.
Yeah, I never looked at it that way as far as a writer and an author. That's deep. I've never, looked at it that way.
Yeah, so I don't like to be called an author or an authoress or any of that bull. I'm a writer. I'm a writer all day, every day. If my books are never published, damn it, darn it, sorry. I'm a writer. I'm a writer.
Okay.
That's a little bit fair, but yeah, I get passionate when it comes to that because I don't like that. I was saying all that to say that you have these authors popping up all over the net. They're popping up with their ebooks. They're popping up with, the street fiction, the street lit. And I'm not hating at all. But she's a dental hygienist. That's what she is. That's what she does. That is her talent. She decided to become an author of a book because she's been wanting to tell the story about this stripper turned pimp forever. Fine. Do your sizzle. But those are not writers.
Okay.
They're not.
Wow.
Okay.
They do not go study it. They do not read other authors. And I cracked up when you ask an author, well, who are some of your favorite writers? Well, I don't read. Well, how are you a writer then? It boggles my mind.
So in other words, you're saying that some authors or some celebrity authors, so to speak, they hire ghostwriters. They actually don't write themselves.
Or their editor writes their book. Like, I can tell the difference between somebody sitting down and writing a book and your editor edits, as opposed to you have a great story and your editor is going to just take it over.
Ah, okay. Okay.
And that's just because I've worked with other editors. So, yes, you can hire me to ghostwrite your novel, or ghostwrite your, memoir, whatever it is. That's one thing. But I think that's respecting the fact that there is an artist behind it. There is a writer behind it. It's different when you go out there haphazardly and just put something out there and call yourself an author, or your editor authors it. It's kind of like when you have a songwriter, right? Reba McEntire once said, she's like, I let the songwriters do them and I do me. So she doesn't write any of her songs, and she's honest and unapologetic about it. But once the song comes to her, she makes it her own.
Right.
Because nobody can sing it like she can.
Okay.
That's why with Beyonce would just come out and Beyonce. Just be honest, trick you to write all the songs. It's all right. I still love you. Still love you. But we know you didn't write all the songs.
Right.
Like, I don't think Rihanna has the aptitude to write Umbrella. Maybe she does, and maybe she doesn't. I don't know. But you sing it well. You perform it well. But you didn't write that song. Just be honest. A writer wrote it. Give props to the writer. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Well, that's a good way to take it. Well, where can all of your listeners and all of your readers and all of your followers contact you, or how else can they get the book? The new one, Street Soldiers.
So Street Soldiers is right now, I think it's solely on CreateSpace. You can go to my CreateSpace account, which is through Amazon. You can go to Amazon.com. I always send everybody to DramaHigh.com because that's where you can see all of the books. All the books are for purchase on Amazon, on Barnes & Noble, anywhere books are sold, Books A Million, Walmart. That's where you can find it. But Street Soldiers is right now strictly online. You can either get it on your Kindle, your Nook, or you can order it through Amazon.com for paperback.
Okay. Well, we thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it, and I had fun. I hope I didn't talk too much.
Oh, no. You
fine.
were very informative, and I love your passion. Like, you really have passion for what you do.
All day, every day. If you don't have passion for it, you should not be doing it. I don't care what it is. So thank you for feeling that. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
That's good.
Keep it locked. We here on the Good Time Show. We'll be right back.